What's up, guys? Welcome to Stuck on the Screen, where we watch movies and TV shows and
never miss a scene.
Today we got really something special, something I hold close to my heart. I know this guy over here too, as you can see. He got
representing.
Yeah, so this is our Uncle Bobo. He's obviously a huge Star Wars fan. Destiny has never seen Star Wars, and this is her first time watching the prequels, so I'm very excited to get to talking about this. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of Jar Jar Binks, and a lot more to get into. So, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
So we get a time jump in this one, and you see Anakin as an older...
Yeah, I think it takes place like 10 years later.
Yeah, him and Obi-Wan go training for 10 years.
First off, I will say that even though... I mean, this isn't my favorite Star Wars series, but Episode 3 is my favorite Star Wars movie. Episode 2 is probably my least favorite movie of all the Star Wars.
Yeah, when we were watching it, he texted her, he's like, all right, try not to fall asleep.
Yeah, I mean... It's technically a love story, you know.
Yeah, that's what I felt like too.
But it's crucial in the story too, because a lot of important things happen in this movie. A lot of important things, like we get to see Anakin turning and how he starts to fall in love, which is pretty much the beginning of his demise, is falling in love with Padme. Yeah. And a lot of things take place that are super important in the Star Wars story. But when they ask him about sand, and he's like, "I hate sand. It's so coarse. It gets everywhere." It's like, dude, come on, man. Too damn sensitive, man. Come on, man. This is my least favorite Star Wars movie, but real crucial things happen in this movie for sure.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of crucial things, it's insane when he goes to find his mom after having all those dreams and nightmares and stuff. And he goes to find his mom, and Owen's there, and he tells him she's been kidnapped or whatever by the Tusken Raiders. And then dude goes to the Tusken Raiders to find her, and she ends up dying in his arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. And what timing is that, where she dies as soon as he shows up?
Yeah.
But
I guess it was the same, because she was like, "I'm safe now," or like, "I'm better now," or something like that.
Maybe,
so maybe she was just waiting for him to like die.
You hear stories, yeah, exactly. You hear stories of people like holding on till they, she hadn't seen her son in so long.
And then Anakin rages, and you see Anakin kill the women, the children, the men, everyone, the Tusken Raiders. What were you thinking?
I was so upset. The fact that
Anakin?
Yes, that he raged and was like in his feelings, because from the first one, Yoda was like, with fear comes anger and all that stuff, and I was just like,
do you blame him? Like, how would you feel after your mom?
I mean, I don't blame him, because obviously, that's his mother, but he's a Jedi, and there's ways, of the Jedi, and that was not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying. That's how you get to see like how he starts to like go down that road.
Yeah.
The dark side. It's like, as a Jedi, you're not supposed to have. You're supposed to be indifferent. Your feelings are supposed to be neutral. You're never supposed to feel good, bad, happy, sad. You're just supposed to. Their whole role is they're
protectors.
Not guardians of the galaxy. They're guardians of. They're guardians of they're guardians of peace and something else in the galaxy. Yeah. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, that's they're not supposed to have those types of feelings but you get it though. Human nature, you know?
Yeah, I mean I can't blame him for being angry. I'd be angry. I don't know what I would do in that situation, but I would definitely be angry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could have used the Force to like put them all in a little cell and like imprison them or something. Yeah. But in that moment,
and like he knew he wasn't supposed to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
you see that too throughout this whole movie. Anakin's at that crossroad, or especially Episode 3, I should say. But it's like he knows right from wrong, but he just can't help himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we get into the creation of the clones, another important part of Star Wars.
Very important.
Yeah. What did you think when they were first introduced and Obi-Wan goes to see him? I keep wanting to call him Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan goes to see him, and then he meets what's his name? Freaking
Jango Fett.
Jango Fett, yeah.
That's another important character.
Yeah. Well, when I first seen the troops or the clones, I mean, okay, so I wasn't really familiar with Star Wars, but I knew the stormtroopers, and I knew like of the characters like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So I knew stormtroopers were bad. And then when I see them in the movie, I was like, wait, they're not bad. I was so confused, but then the more I watched, the more I obviously understood.
Yeah. Do you think the guy who originally ordered the clones? Do you think he was working with Sidious?
Yeah, so I think throughout the whole, first off, Sidious is controlling everything behind the scenes.
Yeah.
He's on the good side, obviously, as Chancellor. Well, what is he, a senator? I think first. Yeah. He's a senator in this one, right? This is before he gets promoted. And then he's obviously Darth Sidious, and the whole time he's manipulating everything. Yeah, he so I don't remember who they got their orders from to
forget the name, but it was
to
like
create a clone army. Yeah, but all of it, I feel like, and I'm not positive. Maybe you guys let us know. I don't know. All of it's being controlled by him, so I think he's the one behind it all when he creates the clones, and he's also on the droid army side with the Separatists. He's controlling that side as well.
And Yoda had no idea of any of it going on. Like when they told him about it, Yoda was like, "Yeah, I didn't authorize that."
Yeah,
and it was a Jedi that went and requested it, so. Chancellor had to, or Senator Palpatine had to have control of that as well.
For sure. Yeah, he's the puppet master behind it all. Did you catch that?
I mean, I was confused because I was like, who like started this, or like I had no like background of the Jedis or like the characters in the movie, so I was confused when they were like.
Yeah, you definitely need to see everything before you realize what's going on. It's hard to follow. That's another thing with this movie. It's like there's a lot of storytelling in this movie.
Yeah, there was so much going on, and like it would jump from scene to scene. I was like, this is so much information. Like my brain was gonna explode.
Yeah, I think that was the purpose of it too.
Get into when Obi-Wan gets captured later in the movie, and then Dooku walks in. Remember? And then he's held up like that, and you find out that Dooku was actually Qui-Gon's master. Before,
See, Dooku was a Jedi.
Yeah.
And same thing that happens to Anakin happened to Dooku. Turned to the dark side.
Chancellor's very manipulative.
Yeah, I sensed that from the first movie. I was like.
But I think Dooku kind of believed that. I mean, same thing like Anakin, that the Jedi were evil, and he was. The way Dooku was trying to convince Obi-Wan was like, join me and we'll take down the Sith and the Jedi and basically be in control. Kind of like what Anakin wanted to do with Padme. Like, we'll overthrow the Chancellor and then.
I think that's typical human nature, right? Bad people want to rule everything, right? And that's
they want the power.
But yeah, Dooku believed that Qui-Gon would have joined him if Qui-Gon was still alive. So he was trying to convince Obi-Wan to do the same. But I mean, maybe Qui-Gon would have. Qui-Gon was very. He went off track of the Jedi, you know.
He was so like focused on Anakin, and maybe that was why. I don't know. I
think Obi-Wan was more dedicated to the Jedi and the Jedi way, so obviously he didn't join like immediately. He shut him down. But I would have loved to see Qui-Gon alive and how his story would have played out.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Qui-Gon would have been super powerful for sure.
Yeah.
What did you think about C-3PO in this movie when they're all captured and on? That's another important. And he loses his head, and then they're dragging him along, and they're like, when they're dragging his head, he's like, "Oh, it's such a drag." I'm thinking to myself, this movie's kind of such a drag.
Okay, when he was shooting, he was like, "I'm so sorry," and he was like apologizing for shooting at the Jedi. I was like, "Oh my god."
That's right. That's an important battle in this story too. Yeah. Star Wars has something again similar to the Bible, where it's like AD and BC or whatever.
Yeah.
It's BBY. It stands for the Battle of Yavin. Yavin, I think I'm saying that right. So this battle is like a huge battle that takes place in Star Wars folklore or whatever you call it. And so that's another important thing in this movie, the Battle of Yavin. You have BBY and then you have ABY, which is after the Battle of Yavin, which was everything else that takes place after that. So a lot of important things in this movie. A lot of little tidbits into the story, but again, it was just super slow. And then the whole love scene. What did you think about the love scene? The love story, I should say.
I wasn't into it initially. Yeah, well, because
I thought that played into why Destiny liked the movies.
No. I like the action.
Okay. You would think that, but same thing. My wife, she loves Star Wars. Probably not as much as I do, but during the whole love story part of it, she wasn't into it.
Honestly, I fell asleep during the second movie. I woke up and seen his message like, try not to fall asleep.
That's exactly why, right, people?
But I fell asleep where like Padme was like comforting him after he had just like raged, and I was like, yeah. But like
that was one of those terrible CGI moments. Was when they're in like the field and they're like he's like riding on an elephant.
Oh
and
my
he's
god!
like whatever that animal is. He's like on the back of it. He falls off and then he acts like he's hurt. Yeah. She's like, Anakin, you okay? She comes and she hugs him and he's like, and he starts kissing her and hugging her. And it's like
rolling around on the field.
Yeah, it's like they got criticized heavily. Natalie Portman and Christian Haydenson, who played the characters, because their chemistry supposedly wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And I mean, Natalie Portman, I think, was 16 when they shot episode 1. And I think probably like 18, 19 when they shot episode 2 or something like that. So they were still young, they're actors, but it's still an important part of the movie because the love between the two of them is what causes, everything else that follows especially with Anakin and Darth Vader. So
yeah, that's true.
A lot of important things in the movie, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like I probably wasn't in tune with the love story only because like I obviously knew they couldn't be together and like.
So you didn't think it'd play out at all?
Yeah, I didn't think it'd play out, and like if it did, something was gonna happen, and it was gonna be all bad.
Well, something happened.
Yeah, something happened.
But I actually like the final scene where, well, it's not the final scene, but where Padme and Obi-Wan and Anakin are locked up, and then she like starts climbing up.
Yeah, and when she's like, when they're walking her to her post, she like puts the thing in her mouth, and she's just like, I was like, she's up to something. She's up to something right now.
Honestly, for being a queen and a senator, she could do well in action. I mean, like she could fight, she could shoot the gun. Obviously, she's climbing up and battling that tiger-looking thing.
Yeah. Also,
so she's not afraid.
Yeah, when Anakin and Obi-Wan were like talking about how they're gonna try and escape. He was like, well, what about Padme? And then he was like, I think she's up to it. Like,
yeah, she
was already on top of her post, like ready to fight.
She can handle herself.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. I might be jumping ahead, but the fight scene between Yoda and Dooku, and well, first off, it's Dooku and Anakin, right? And Obi-Wan, and Dooku's getting the best of them this time, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when Yoda comes to save him, right? What did you think about that? That's when Yoda was jumping around.
Yeah, that was the first fight scene, right, with Yoda,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah. I was shook because, like, he obviously was walking around with the little cane, and then he's, like, hopping around, flipping, and I was like, okay, where did this come from?
Yeah, it's honestly the same thing with Sidious, too, later. I mean, you see him as an old man, and he has this wrinkled face, but then he's, like, flipping around, too, and he's honestly as agile as Yoda is.
I think that's why a lot of original Star Wars lovers, like of the first 3, were hating on this one so much as well, because they saw Yoda as like this 900-year-old little old Jedi guy that couldn't do nothing but act funny and drop knowledge every now and then. You know what I mean? Then to see him flipping around, jumping around like that, they were like, this isn't the Yoda we know, you know?
Yeah.
I thought it was super cool. Like,
I would love to see a younger Yoda, like.
Right? He's portrayed as a younger Yoda in this movie, right?
I would love to see, like, the Jedi in their prime, like, just doing something, but we haven't got that yet.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
with Disney now being involved, we're probably going to get all kinds of,
a lot to come.
Exactly.
But before we get into that Yoda battle, we had Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting him, as you said, and Anakin gets his arm cut off. What did you think when that happened?
Honestly, it was like...
Did you think they were going to, like, die or lose the battle, or did you think someone else would die like Qui-Gon did?
I didn't think somebody else was going to die. I was just like, Anakin's so dumb and, like... like...
Young and dumb.
Yeah.
He doesn't listen to, like...
Yeah, he does not listen.
Even on their way there, he wanted to jump out and help Padme as she fell.
Oh, he was thinking with his... Not the... Yeah. I will go there.
Yeah.
So before all this happened too, also we had the death of Jango when Mace Windu was fighting him, and then flips him around, cuts off his head.
Yeah, so that you saying that what was his son's name?
Boba Fett.
Like when you said that he's a clone of him, not really his son. That's why I was like, oh, it makes sense why when he got killed, like there was no initial reaction or like emotion.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of like went up to him and grabbed his helmet.
Yeah, that was the part of that's another thing that they're alluding to in the story is how Boba Fett decides to don the armor, the Mandalorian armor that Jango Fett had, and follow that same type of path.
So is he in the Mandalorian?
Who?
No, don't get into anything like that.
Oh no,
that's why she doesn't know that he put on armor.
I say my bad. I forgot. First time Star Wars watcher here.
Exactly.
How could I forget that?
So Dooku escapes, and that's the end. Like, you don't see him die or any type of finale. He's just gone.
He's gone.
But then the third movie picks up, and it gets back into the same battle. Anyways, guys, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Make sure you leave a comment if you liked it, and check out the videos on your right here or on your left, wherever they are. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Stuck on the Screen Up.